Hey guys, welcome back. So today we're going to switch gears and do something on the sweet side. We've done a few things on the the savory side of food, and today I thought we could focus on learning one of the more simple types of cookies, shortbread. But although this is simple, you can really make it beautiful by infusing different flavors into it, by making different shapes, and really just nailing the recipe perfectly. Just yields just a really, really wonderful cookie. So let me go through the ingredients with you, and then we'll get started. So what you have here is 2 cups of flour. All-purpose is ideal. You could use unbleached, but that might be just a little bit different in flavor. And then you have a 1/2 cup of granulated sugar, 1 cup of room temperature butter, so 2 sticks, of about 1/2 tablespoon of ground ginger here, and 1 lemon that we're going to zest for flavor. So these shortbread cookies are actually going to be ginger lemon, and this actually right here is probably about a teaspoon of orange extract. That's just going to kind of heighten the citrus flavor profile. It shouldn't overpower the lemon or the ginger, so we'll just call these ginger lemon. And all right, let's get started. Just one quick reminder about getting everything in place before you start. What's that called? That's right. Especially with baking, it really, really helps to really adhere to this process. Get everything measured, get everything out. That way, when you start making the dough, whatever it may be, you're going to be able to follow the steps, on a timely manner. You're not going to have to go searching for things. You're going to be sure before you start that you have everything. The worst is when you're halfway through a recipe and you go to your cupboard and you're like, oh no, I don't have this ingredient. So with baking, it's one of those things where you really need all the ingredients. Shortbread is not, the most difficult of doughs, so this one is more forgiving, but in general, it's just a good rule. So, all right, one more time, what's it called? That's right. Hey guys, so for most doughs, unless otherwise specified, I usually use my stand mixer. Makes the job a whole lot easier. If you don't have one of these, a hand mixer will totally do. Just you'll have to use the beater attachments. For this KitchenAid, I'm gonna use this guy right here. This will be perfect. I wouldn't really use the whisk attachment for this. It might kind of, gum up, and the dough might kind of just get trapped within the wires. So this is the correct attachment. So, all right. So once we get that all in, we're gonna start by opening the butter. For this one, you just want to make sure that as you're putting it in, you're getting all the paper off. There's nothing worse than biting into a cookie and there being a piece of wax paper in it. So that's 1/2 cup. So 2 cups, actually 1 cup will be 2 sticks. All right, that's in. So raise this up. And on around a medium speed, we're gonna get this butter whipped up. It's gonna start to fluff and get air inside, it's gonna, even start to look like it's increasing in volume. At that point, we're gonna add in the sugar, and we're gonna let that just whip up and get really nice and fluffy. So during this process, you're definitely gonna want to scrape down the sides of your bowl, even before you add the sugar. So I would say, let it go for a minute or 2, and then pause it and scrape down the dough. So that's what we're gonna do now. So we're gonna turn it off, drop the pan. You could pull it all the way out, but I'm gonna be lazy and just scrape it from within. I can pretty much get all the surface this way. So get the beater as well, and scrape down your spatula. Make sure it's all in there. Raise it back up, and back on. All right, another. It's actually starting to look pretty fluffy, so let me give you guys a look at what I'm talking about. So you can see how the butter is starting to look pretty soft, and it's forming little peaks as the whisk makes its way around, or as the beater makes its way around, rather. That's kind of what you are looking for when you're about to start adding the sugar. So here we go. All right, now that the butter is ready, I'm gonna take the whisk that I was resting in my sugar, and I'm going to slowly start to add the sugar into the butter, and actually turn up the speed a little bit. for their time. Now at this point, I'm going to let this work for about a minute or two, get most of the sugar incorporated. We are going to stop it, scrape it down again, and then we're going to start adding other ingredients. So I'm going to let this go. I'm going to scrape it down again, and then when we're ready to add the flavorings, I'll meet you back here. All the sugar has been added, and this has been whipping up for about 3 to 4 minutes, maybe 2 to 3. I don't really have a timer set, but you can see how this is almost kind of starting to look like frosting. That's what you want. Welcome back to this view. So at this point you saw the butter, and it's ready for us to start adding a couple other ingredients. So to this I'm going to add a little salt, about a teaspoon. It's really important to add salt to sweet items and other confectionery recipes. It really helps heighten all the flavors that are in there. Just don't overdo it, because you really can easily oversalt a dessert, but it definitely needs to be in there. So in went the salt. Next, the ginger. Again, I said that's I think I said half a tablespoon. We're gonna add the orange extract, 1 teaspoon. Again, that's not really that much. It's just gonna help the lemon flavor come through. And lastly, if you don't have one of these, this is a microplane. Definitely invest in one of these. It's a fantastic investment. Definitely pick one of these up. So about half the zest of a lemon. Make sure you wash the lemon, because you're literally just putting the outside of it on there, so everything the lemon's touched could end up in your cookies, so give it a good wash. Once we get all the zest off, we'll be ready to go. Just make sure you don't go down too far. You don't want to go into the white part underneath the skin. That's called the pith, and that's very bitter. So you can see we just went down to a pale yellow. So, all right, back up we go. Whisk all that in, and then we're gonna start folding in our flour. See you back in a minute. All right, we're back. So all of the flavorings have been mixed in very well. We scraped it down. We're giving it one last mix, and now it's time to turn it down. We'll lower it and add, I would say, about a third of the flour. Do this in thirds. You're not gonna want to turn the machine on very high, because flour is gonna go everywhere, and you also don't want to overload it, because if you have a smaller volume bowl or mixer, it could jump out of the bowl. So just a third at a time. You don't even have to mix it all the way before you add the next. Just it'll help. I might have to use my hands. That's okay, I'm the only one's gonna eat these. Alright, so back in. There we go. And it's gonna kind of look a little bit crumbly. I don't know if you've ever made a biscuit dough. It's gonna kind of start to look like biscuit dough when you're just getting it right. You don't want to overmix it. You're just gonna kind of see, bigger size kind of crumbles that you guys are doing that, so you know what I'm talking about. Here's what I mean. You can see how it almost looks, like granular in a sense, where it hasn't quite come together. It will once we add the last bit of flour and get it incorporated, but we're almost there, so. All right, time for the last bit of flour. Let's lower the bowl to make it easier, and we'll just scoop it in. Everyone in the pool. There we go. That's what the phrase is. All right. Get that all incorporated, and then we will be ready to get this rolled up. We'll probably need to scrape this down one more time, but we are pretty much there. So let me get it all into the... You just don't want there to be any pockets of flour or, sugar that, isn't all mixed up. So there shouldn't be, but if you're going to do it right, you might as well do it right the first time. So... So we're there. So, all right, I'm going to meet you over on the other counter, and we're going to get this rolled up. All right, see you there. All right, so we're back over on our workspace, and what you're going to need now is a roll of plastic wrap, your dough, which should look like this. It should have, pretty much come together nicely. And you don't need a lemon anymore, so let's put that over there. You're gonna need, honestly for this you could probably do just one, but since most of you haven't done this before, let's do it in two. It'll make it easier. So you'll need 2 sheets, about 14 inches to 18 inches long. Just eyeball it, more than a foot of cling wrap. So I have one in front of me. I'll set the other one off to the side. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna divide the dough in half. Easy enough, right, so far? All right, take half the dough, set it near that second piece of saran wrap. Take the the piece still closest to you. Form it into roughly, a log. You don't have to have it perfect. That's what that saran wrap is for. So when you have it like that, place it closest toward you, closest toward the edge of saran wrap that's near you. So you're gonna have it out in front of you like a rectangle. Put it on the edge closest to you. So what you're gonna do after that is roll it over once, holding the leading edge and placing it just in front. Using your fingers, I don't know if you can see this. It's closer to you. There we go. Right here, you're gonna wanna press and make sure that it's nice and tight. From there, roll it over again on itself. And from here, cup your fingers like this, like a C, and with your fingers, roll them underneath the front edge of this log and gently pull back toward yourself as you roll this log into the saran wrap. So I don't know if that was the clearest, but I'll do it one more time. And maybe you'll catch the bits that weren't very straightforward. So you're gonna end up with something like this. All right, we're gonna set that off to the side for now and do the second one. So rectangle, piece of saran wrap right in front of you. Take your dough, squish into a roughly even log. Like such. Put it in the center, closest toward you. Fold the saran wrap over, push it down, and then start to roll, but also tuck with your fingers. So it's a motion like this. So my fingers are gonna go here and pull toward me as I roll the actual log forward. So it's a forward tucking motion. So forward tuck, forward tuck. There we go. Right, now that we have both of them rolled up in saran wrap, you're gonna want to clean off your surface because any flour might make this next bit a bit hard. So, all right. Now that it's clean, grab either end. I like to take my finger, this, hook it over, and then give it a turn so that you end up with this situation going on. And then from here, you just use your counter and hold the ends and just roll it. If there is flour on your counter, it's just not gonna work. And if that's the case, give it a wipe. Mine's not quite clean enough. Give it another wipe. And if that's not good enough, you can even slightly dampen your surface, and that'll definitely make the saran wrap work, but I think we're there. So you can see this is turning quite well. And what it does is this compresses your dough into a very nice tight little log. So that's probably as far as you want to go. You don't want to go so much that it starts to burst. And from here, just tie the ends like you imagine you're tying the end of a sausage. That being said, this is actually a technique that I've used several times in the past for forming and poaching different kinds of sausages, breakfast sausage, patties, just all different kinds. So we might use this technique another time. So practice it on cookies, and maybe it'll come in handy at another time. So I'm gonna roll up this other one and get them in the freezer. I do find it easier to cut these if they're chilled down a bit. So, if you want, you could also just roll them into a sheet, use a cookie cutter, and cut out shapes. I prefer to make little medallions, and for me, this has just been the easiest way to, make a consecutive shape and have really, good control over the thickness, since I'll be, slicing them with a knife I'll have pretty much full control over how thick I want them to be. So into the fridge they go. Actually I said freezer, but I meant fridge. Probably about 30 minutes for them to kind of firm up a bit. So we'll meet you back here and we'll get them cut up and finished up for the oven, and yeah, see you soon. And we're back. So our dough has had a chance to firm up a bit. What I'll do is, with a very sharp knife, cut off the ends with the plastic still on. Don't worry, the plastic will not get pushed into the dough. That's, you can save it as a little snack, or, I'm just gonna toss it. Because again, I'll be the only ones eating these, so. All right, unwrap. As you see, look at that, just very nice. So from here, what we're gonna do is cut about, what would you say that is? Maybe half a centimeter or so. You could also go a little bit thinner if you'd like, but we want to make nice thin slices and try and make them uniform throughout. So if you can, just do your best to slice through these evenly. Yeah. Not only will it look better if they're even, but they will also cook more evenly if they're in even thickness. So, sorry, corny joke. All right, so I'm just gonna slice through these quickly. All right, that last guy is a little oddly shaped, so I'm not gonna use that. So on a, look at that, on a cookie sheet with parchment. Oh, Marley's here. Space them about, I don't know, an inch and a half apart. These will spread a tiny bit, but they should not, really spread too far. So, just get them on there. All right, a couple more. All right, so before you start cutting this, definitely preheat the oven. Get the oven up to 350. You're gonna want that to be nice and preheated when you get these in, so that again, it doesn't take time coming to temperature. It's just already there. So we got them on a sheet tray, and from here, I'm gonna move my cutting board. And a bag. So from here, you need a few things: a lemon, a little bit of granulated sugar. If you have sugar that are bigger in crystals, sometimes you could find those in baking sections. You could use that too. It might be actually nice for this. And some nice large flaked sea salt for this little finishing. So I'm gonna take the end of a rounded toothpick, as you can see here, and I'm gonna make little dots on the surfaces of these cookies. The traditional shortbread, you'll notice, has almost a pattern similar to that of what is that called? Of a domino. There we go. So for these, I'm gonna make them kind of look like buttons. Not quite the same as a domino, but I think the holes, just kind of, again, elevate the look, make it a little fancier. So if you were to bring these over to a friend's house, or serve them if you ever have company again, you're nice with a glass of tea, or after dinner with some coffee, or even just as a maiden dessert. This is just something nice, something simple, easy to make from scratch, and you'll definitely taste the difference between this and a store-bought shortbread. Not that those aren't great, but if you make these correctly, these will be even better. So I'm gonna finish getting holes in these, and I will come back in just a bit. All right, see you soon. All right, we've got them all nicely marked. This is what you're kind of going for. It just kind of adds a little touch. So from here, take a little bit of your sea salt, not a lot, but it is a nice way to kind of finish, and put a couple sprinkles on each cookie. You know, try and make sure there's not clumps, but it will add a nice bit of texture, a nice flavor contrast, and it's gonna make your friends go, "Ooh, these are gourmet." So there you go. And they should, because they are gourmet. Because you made it from scratch, right? So, all right, salt's done, sugar. So for this, I just kind of, this I'm less precise with. I just kind of get a fingerful and just make my way around the sheet pan. You know, there we go. That doesn't have to be exact. So, last thing, the lemon. So for this, you know, same thing. Just kind of go around the pan. You don't have to get, you know, a ton on every, but a nice little bit on each would be nice, and it looks nice too. So. If you happen to have some Meyer lemons, that would really be good. Meyer lemons are a little bit different in flavor than a regular lemon. I think they're almost a little sweeter, a bit more floral, and just kind of more complex on the lemon spectrum of things. So, all right, we got the cookies all done up, and our oven is preheated, 350, for about 10 minutes or so. Check around 8 minutes. You really don't want them to brown very much, but you do want them to set up pretty much all the way through. So keep an eye on them, and they should come out great. All right, we will see you when they're done. Even Marley is waiting anxiously for those cookies to come out. Isn't he the cutest? All right, let's take a look. I think it's ready. Oh, I think we're just perfect. Turn off the oven. Get a good look at these. See how the edges are just starting to brown? It's okay if some of them are a little darker than others. You just don't want the tops to get too dark. So these look perfect. Can't wait to enjoy some. Well, we've come to the end of our video. Hopefully you've had fun so far. If you haven't seen our previous 2 that we've posted, check them out. We'll be coming to you hopefully daily with new content, new recipes, new stuff that we test out. Please remember to send us questions. If you want something, you know, that you haven't made before, if you've had trouble making something, if you want us to demonstrate it, let me know. I'd love to hear any comments or feedback, or field any questions. So follow us, the links above, send us a comment, and I'm gonna enjoy these cookies that I made. So cheers. These are ridiculously good. A little tea to wash it down. Alright, we'll see you next time. Thanks again.